It started with a simple mistake. I booked the wrong hotel. I had a business conference in Chicago and was supposed to stay at the Riverfront Hilton, where my company reserved a block of rooms. But when I checked the email confirmation I got from a last-minute discount site, it didn't say Hilton. It said, "The Ashburn Inn, historic downtown location, room 313. Historic. That should have been my first red flag. But I was exhausted, it was already past midnight, and I figured, how bad could it be? The Uber driver who dropped me off didn't say a word the entire ride, but when we pulled up to the Ashburn Inn, he gave me a strange look in the mirror and said, "You sure this is where you're staying?" I nodded, unsure. "Yeah, just one night." He muttered something under his breath, something that sounded like, "Poor bastard," and drove off before I could even grab both bags. The Ashburn Inn looked like something from a forgotten time. Tall, narrow, red brick walls, chipped and faded. A broken neon sign flickering, ASHBUREN, 2 letters permanently burned out. Inside, the lobby was empty. Dark wood walls, an old rotary phone, a dusty chandelier that swayed slightly, even though there was no draft. At the front desk sat a woman, pale, no expression. Her name tag simply read Agnes. "Checking in?" she said, in a voice that was all throat and no warmth. I handed her my ID and confirmation. She didn't smile. "Room 313, she said, as she slid a heavy brass key toward me. "Top floor, last room at the end of the hall." No elevator, of course. Do you have Wi-Fi?" I asked. "No," she replied, "and the phones don't work after midnight." That made me pause. "Sorry, the phones don't work?" She just looked at me like I'd asked something stupid. "House rules," she said. "Enjoy your stay." Room 313 was at the end of a long hallway that smelled like wet carpet and old books. The wallpaper was peeling. The lights above buzzed constantly, flickering every few seconds like they couldn't decide if they wanted to work or die. When I unlocked the door, the handle felt sticky. Inside, the room was surprisingly clean. Too clean, almost. It felt like someone had gone out of their way to scrub every surface. The bed was neatly made with thin white sheets tucked tight. One small window overlooked a brick wall just a few feet away. No view. There was no TV, no minibar, no room service menu. Just a small chair in the corner, and a large oval mirror hanging on the wall above the desk. That mirror, I noticed it right away.
It was old, the kind with warped glass and a blackened frame, the kind that feels like it remembers things. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and collapsed on the bed. That's when I heard it. A knock. Knock, knock, knock. 3 soft taps. I sat up, checked the door. Nothing. Peered out into the hallway. Empty. I closed the door, locked it, brushed it off. Maybe it was another guest. I laid back down. Exactly 5 minutes later, knock, knock, knock. Again. Same rhythm, same volume. Soft, insistent. I jumped up, this time quicker, swung the door open. No one there. But this time, the hallway felt wrong. Too quiet. No hum of other guests, no creak of floorboards, just silence. I shut the door fast, locked the chain. Back in the room, I glanced at the mirror. It was fogged up.
as if someone had breathed on it, only I hadn't. I stood there, staring. Then, slowly, the fog began to fade, revealing something written in the condensation. Just one word: stay. I barely slept. The room was freezing, even though the radiator hissed all night. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt something watching me, like the mirror was alive. I ended up turning it to face the wall. I couldn't take it anymore. But when I woke up the next morning, the mirror was facing me again. And this time, it wasn't empty. There was a shadow in it, just standing there. But when I turned around, nothing was there. I checked out as fast as I could. Agnes wasn't at the desk. No one was. I left the key on the counter and practically ran out of that place, heart thudding. I took a cab straight to the Hilton, swore I'd forget about the Ashburn Inn. But that was the mistake. It didn't stay behind. The next night at the Hilton, I heard knocking again. Soft, 3 taps, always at 3:13 a.m. Then the mirror in that room fogged up, and the same word appeared: stay. After the second night, I stopped sleeping altogether. The third night, back at the Hilton, I found deep scratches on my bathroom mirror. I didn't hear anything during the night. No knocking, no breathing, but the mirror looked like someone had dragged nails across it. 4 thin, jagged lines. The hotel staff couldn't explain it. Housekeeping hadn't touched the room. They offered to move me, so I said yes. Big mistake. The new room had no mirror. None. Not in the bathroom, not in the closet, not even behind the door where hotel mirrors are usually mounted. That night, I woke up at 3:13 a.m. sharp. And there it was again. Knock, knock, knock. Only this time, it was coming from inside the wall. I asked the front desk again, begged them to let me move to a room with people nearby, something with a view, even just the street, anything. They gave me room 417, corner room, top floor, nice view of the skyline, no mirror again. But when I turned on the TV, the screen glitched, flickered black and white. Then it flashed to static. Then I saw it. Not a channel, not a program. My room. From the inside. The TV was showing me a live feed of myself sitting on the edge of the bed. Only I wasn't alone. There was something in the corner. Crouched. Too tall. Too thin. Watching me. I turned around and of course nothing was there. But the TV kept playing. It showed that thing standing up, walking slowly toward the bed, toward me. I unplugged the TV and smashed it against the wall. The next morning, I drove back to the Ashburn Inn. It was gone. Not closed, not boarded up, literally gone, like it had never existed. I walked the entire block twice, asked a woman passing by if she knew where the Ashburn Inn was. She just stared at me. Honey, that place burned down 30 years ago. My stomach dropped. You're sure? Room 313. Fire started there. Whole top floor went up like a matchbox. I asked her if anyone died. She nodded slowly. Man was staying there alone, business traveler, just like you. Back at the Hilton, I finally got some Wi-Fi and looked up old newspaper archives. I found the article. March 13th, 1993. Mystery fire claims one at Ashburn Inn. The photo was grainy, but the man in it looked just like me. Not kinda like me, exactly like me. Same face, same build, even the same jacket I'd been wearing when I first checked in. His name was Daniel A. Quinn. Not my name, but somehow I knew that name. I dreamed it that night, and in the dream, I was him. I kept having the same dream. Every night, same hallway, same wallpaper, same brass key. Room 313. Each time I open the door and there's someone in the bed. It's me, sleeping. And every time I try to wake him up, but when I touch him, he turns to dust. Then the mirror starts shaking and someone steps out of it. Her. Hair down to her waist. No eyes, just hollow black pits. She doesn't move fast. She doesn't need to. Each night, she gets a little closer. The next day, I checked my cell. There was a voicemail. No number, just unknown. I listened. It was 3 knocks, then a voice, my voice, whispering, "Check the mirror." I turned toward the hotel bathroom. There was a full-length mirror on the back of the door. It hadn't been there before. On the surface of the glass, written in blood, were the words, "You're not the first. You won't be the last." My reflection wasn't moving anymore. It was smiling. I had to go back. I don't know how I found it, but one night at 3:13 a.m., I went out walking and the Ashburn Inn was just there again, right where it had been. Neon sign buzzing faintly, lobby lights on. I stepped inside. Agnes was there, same as before, still pale, still silent. She handed me a brass key. No words. I didn't ask. Room 313 was waiting. The hallway was longer this time. The lights were out. Each step echoed like I was walking on hollow bones. When I got to the door, the key slid in like it had been waiting. Inside room 313, everything was just as I remembered. Same bed, same chair, same mirror. Only this time, I didn't look away. I sat in front of the mirror for hours, staring, waiting, until my reflection blinked first. It stepped forward and reached out from the inside. I felt cold fingers wrap around my wrist, and then, when she reached through the mirror, I instinctively pulled back, but not fast enough. My wrist stung where her fingers grazed. I looked down, faint grooves, dark veins sprouting in a sickly pattern. She whispered then, my own voice, low and cruel, "You belong here with me." I stood up, shaking. The reflection flickered. The room bent, like glass warming under heat, slowly warping. The desk melted into the wall. The carpet pooled like liquid. Agnes appeared in the doorway then, unbidden, her calm, expressionless face illuminated by hallway light. "You must write it," she said. It wasn't a question. At the desk, I found a dusty typewriter not there before. Letter by letter, it spelled a single phrase. "Tell it before it collects another." My fingers moved of their own accord. I typed, "Who are you?" The keys clacked. A reply. "The end of your reflection." Each word burned as I typed. Sweat beaded on my forehead. My heart pounded, not from fear, but from fascination. The mirror fogged. Behind it, figures gathered. Faces I knew, faces I'd seen in faded photographs and old newspaper clips, all staring directly at me. One tapped the glass from inside it. 3 knocks. Night after night, more guests checked in. Room 313 seemed to demand company. But they didn't leave again. Instead, their names appeared scribbled behind the mirror in shaky handwriting, former guest, Daniel A. Quinn, and others I couldn't decipher. In room 313, I understood now. It was a collector of self-reflections lost between worlds, parallel echoes trapped by grief, regret, and mistakes. I typed my confession on the typewriter. Every mistake, every secret I buried. Each word exorcised a piece of my fear, but not the guilt. The mirror shook violently. Light fractured. Air pressed against me, breathing in sudden gusts cold as winter. Then silence. The door slammed open. I looked up. Agnes stood there. She placed her pale hand on my shoulder. Now go. Free another. The hallway behind her glowed. It wasn't long. It was day. Chicago. The Hilton lobby. I blinked, and I was there. Not dreaming. There. I looked down. No typewriter. No bruises. The jacket I'd worn. Gone. I flew home. I switched rooms in the Hilton. Never looked back. But across the world, in another old hotel downtown, room 313 opened to a new guest. They check in tomorrow. And I typed this email at 3:13 a.m. Why not? Because now I know. Now I'm part of the wall too, the stack of reflections waiting to be called. Because you never leave room 313 entirely. I checked the mirror yesterday. My reflection smirked. She tapped the glass 3 times and smiled. I awoke in room 313, the pale morning light hollow and cold. My arms were bruised. The mirror before me warped, pulsing like a twitching wound. Agnes stood beside it, silent. "Tonight, you decide," she said. Her words echoed like a dirge. There was a doorway behind the mirror, a threshold now pulsing with faint horror. My own reflection shaped itself into the outline of the corridor I'd walked before, but inside that distorted world, the walls bled. "She waits," she whispered, "and all who stay." I opened my mouth to ask her meaning, but the mirror flickered. My reflection stepped forward, and the room behind the glass shifted to reveal other guests, former victims lingering in frozen fear. I reached out. The glass cracked. I fell through. Glass shredded without sound. I landed in the corridor, but not the same hallway. Here colors were wrong. Light sputtered. The wallpaper peeled in shapes that resembled faces. The key to 313 glowed faintly in my hand. I knew that to escape, I had to return to room 313, but not as guest, as warden. Every door was ajar. Room numbers glowed in red, 313 being the brightest. I realized horrors from other seasons of this room, ghosts from mystery lore stories of mirrors and tapping, converge here. Tall, gaunt figures, reflection lags, voices behind glass. A tapping began, 3 soft knocks. From every mirror lining the hall, the same pattern echoing across legends I've read. Tap, tap, tap. I turned a corner, found the ghostly figure of Claire, or her, the woman in the period dress, tears frozen. She pointed to 313. Back at 313, I stood before the mirror door. Behind me, the corridor stretched infinitely. Inside, room darkness. Tap, tap, tap. Agnes's voice. "You belong inside, or you send another." In each reflection, I saw faces. The businessman, Daniel Quinn, Rafik in the hotel mirror, Ethan tapping whispers, all the trapped souls from those stories. They watched. I placed the brass key in the slot on the frame. The mirror rippled. I turned to leave when the woman in white emerged from the glass. No eyes, smile, pale as ash. She lunged, but the corridor closed in, folding rooms into walls like paper. Mirrors everywhere. I smashed one with the key. It cracked and it shattered. Across the hallway, reflections flickered and broke, collapsing inward. She screamed. A soundless shriek. The mirror behind me shattered too. Light burst. I collapsed through the fractured mirror, landed in an echoing void. Agnes was gone. The knocking stopped. A silence heavier than any sound pressed around me. Then I heard dozens of whispers. "They're free!" The room behind me reformed. 313's door swung open. Inside, nothing. No mirror, no bed. Just the street outside, sunlight spilling. I was standing on the sidewalk in front of the Ashburn Inn. It didn't appear, it just faded, like a dream dissolving. Days later, I stare at my reflection. I have bruises. The hotel staff stare at me strangely. The Hilton emptied, room 313 permanently delisted. But at night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., a deep knock comes from inside my bathroom mirror. Soft tap, tap, tap. My reflection blinks after me. It doesn't smile, but I know it's there. I left room 313, but I didn't leave behind the story. And every time I sleep, I endure a vivid dream walk through that endless corridor. Maybe I'm still inside, because some rooms never release you, and some mirrors collect souls.